going on, everyone? Nick Lesagore here.
Brandon Delakiai.
Exit 12.
Brewery.
In
the
house. Today, we're going to do a review on one of our own beers. A beer that Brandon hasn't had yet, but I have enjoyed quite a few pints of. Just in time for Thanksgiving next week. It is our apple cinnamon brown ale, American brown ale, that we named Lateral Cohesion.
Yep.
The entire point behind the name is lateral cohesion is a term to describe. It was a term to describe SNL, the series, the sketch comedy series, Saturday Night Live, that basically explains how the skits don't generally have a narrative, but there is an underlying narrative behind the skits. If they all kind of come together as one. So that was kind of the point behind Lateral Cohesion, is that the idea is that the apple and cinnamon is the SNL, is the lineup of skits, but the grain bill is the underlying aspect that I think goes unappreciated in a beer style such as this. So Lateral Cohesion it is.
Yeah, and you just love Action Bronson.
I do love Action Bronson. The term comes from a blog that was written about his latest album. So we have the description of the beer on Untapped if you guys want to check it out. It's the only beer on Untapped that's called Lateral Cohesion. So if you look it up, basically what we did was we added 2 1/4 pounds of apples, Macoon, Macintosh, and Cortland in secondary, along with 2 cinnamon sticks.
Yeah.
And the grain bill, I'll give you guys the details of that if you private message us. But it's basically kind of a mixture of, American malts. I think the base we used, Maris Otter,
yeah.
and then some chocolate malts and things like that. So as you can see, it looks very dark. In the light, it's pretty great that there are some really nice orange and red hues to it.
Yeah, and that was by design. Nick really wanted it to be a lot darker. We had some conversations on if we wanted, a light brown, medium brown, or dark brown, and we sort of settled on a real dark brown. But when you put it up to the light, you get that orange tinge. The brown tinge. Coming through, which is really what we wanted to do. Plus, we wanted to use some darker malts.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very excited to have Brandon try this for the first time on camera. This is the first review of one of our beers.
Yeah.
And so let's take a little Snivlovsky.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay, so first thing you're getting a little bit of the apple, but the grain bill is definitely coming out. I get those chocolate malts right off the bat.
I get a toasted nuttiness to it.
Yeah, toasted nuttiness is definitely there.
To me, it almost smells like it would be as if you wrapped a macadamia nut in chocolate and sprinkled cinnamon over it.
Yeah.
I get pretty much no apple on this. I can understand how people would get apple on this.
Slight apple, but definitely, more of that toasted flavor, a little bit of the cinnamon as well.
Like a roasted macadamia nut almost quality to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you pumped to try this?
I am very pumped to try this.
All right,
cheers.
Cheers, guys. Salute.
Okay, so you definitely get a good amount of the apple, but it's not very sour, which is nice.
You definitely get the bitterness of the apple.
You get a little bit of the bitterness and a little bit of like a little cider, but not much. It's definitely a really fresh apple taste, which is really good, and it's slight, which I think is better, because I think if you get more apple into the beer, you're tending to get a little more of that sour taste. I'm going to have another sip if you want to talk about it for a minute.
I think the roasty concepts and flavors that you got on the nose are definitely shining through on the taste in this beer.
Yeah, toasty, very subdued, not very bitter. The malt character shines through very nicely, and then you get a little bit of the hop character, but not much. I can't remember which hops did we use for this?
We used a noble hop. I'm not 100%
yeah.
sure which one it was,
But it wasn't supposed to shine. It was the malt bill that shines, and like the apple and the cinnamon.
Yeah, you would think that 4 1/4 pounds of apples is a lot, but for the amount that we used, and basically the way we did it was we just used an apple slicer, but I used the type of slicer that has, they're very long and thin apple slices. I didn't use like a conventional apple slicer that has these really big chunks. And we took the seeds out of the apples and kind of did it like that, which was a little more time consuming and created more space in the carboy, but it ended up being fine. I mean, there was plenty of space. Overall, I think, and as this beer warms, I mean, the mouthfeel on it is phenomenal.
Yeah, we
Talk about that. Yeah. Talk about the water.
Sure,
profile,
sure, I can do that. So yeah, we definitely wanted to, bump the chloride up a little bit on this to make that nice little mouthfeel and accentuate the hot malt characters instead of the bitterness of the hops and the bitterness there. So we definitely did that. I'd have to look exactly what I did, but usually for each beer, we start with distilled water and we bring our profile up from there. I usually do a little bit of research and then sort of put our own spin on it. A lot of times it definitely has that that creamy mouthfeel, and that comes from the chloride we put in our water.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you absolutely nailed the water profile on this. I think the mouthfeel is probably second to none for any beer that we've brewed.
Ooh, that's high praise. Yeah, I think the lacing's pretty good. Not a lot of, it's got maybe even definitely less than a finger head, but the head retention's there. Yeah, it's clean too, so I feel pretty good. Anytime we do one of these beers, I don't know, maybe we're pessimistic. We always hope for the best, but we think it's going to be the worst. So it's very good when it comes out better than okay.
Yeah, and as I said, the mouthfeel aspect is only going to increase as it warms. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I haven't really had this beer warm because I'm drinking through it. I mean, the beer is extremely drinkable for a brown ale. I mean, you can understand how it has some of those Newcastle kind of taste qualities, but that apple sweetness really, really adds to it. And I don't know, are you getting any cinnamon on the taste?
A little bit, yeah. On the back end, I get a little bit of cinnamon. By design, some people that have this beer might be like, well, the beer's thin comparatively to a robust brown ale. That's by design. We want it to be a little thinner and a little more drinkable than some of the heavier ones. So, that is by design. We didn't mess up.
We did not mess up. Again, I'm very hard on the beer that we brew. I'm very I have high standards for what we do, and I do think that this is, personally for me, in terms of the beer that we've brewed, it seems as though every beer we do we get better and better, but I think that this beer is probably one of, if not the best beer that we've brewed to this point. I think we've done a lot of great ones, but generally when you're experimenting with adjuncts such as apple and cinnamon and things like that, brown ale is probably the second one that we've ever brewed. We did one in the first year of when we were home brewing, and it was partial grain, so we used a lot of DME, and so that's kind of do it yourself. You expect a decent product when you do it, but this is our first all grain try at an apple brown, and in terms of a brown ale, and I just think we nailed it. A lot of times you get too much apple or not enough cinnamon or whatever the case may be, but I think overall this is one of the few beers that I probably wouldn't, that we've brewed, that I wouldn't change anything with.
Sure.
I think it was really well done from beginning to end.
Yeah, I think we're getting better at, fruit's a tough thing to really nail down, so I feel like we're getting in the ballpark of understanding, how much fruit to add, when to add it, and sort of get those flavors. Hopefully we did the same. We just did a coffee sweet stout, and I'm hoping we did the same with the coffee, so it's nice that we're getting better at these adjunct ingredients that we're really adding after fermentation. So I feel like we're getting there, which is always a great feeling.
Yeah, for sure. And that, in terms of what we have going on, as he mentioned, we got a pumpkin latte milk stout that we kind of we'll be doing a beer review on that. We kind of had to rush to kind of put some things together. And
Yep.
if you've followed along on our videos, you know what happened, dumping the 4 gallons. So we'll be doing a beer review on that as well. And we also have the cranberry pale ale that I recently put into a keg, and so that'll be ready hopefully by the day before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
We have that sitting right now on about 12 psi or so, 10 psi. So we'll be reviewing that as well. We're pretty pumped about all 3 beers, and hopefully they turn out. If this is any indication, we'll be sending out some beer to you guys with Kevin Clements, or I know he asked for some, and we reached out to the author of the blog that wrote about the Action Bronson album, and he wants some. So that would be a pretty rad thing to kind of send him some beer. So yeah, awesome stuff going on. Anything else to add?
No, yeah. During these reviews, we'll probably be talking about our next brew day and things of that nature. And thank you guys for watching. We're pretty pumped about this one, and hopefully we have more reviews in the future to give you guys.
Perfect. Cheers.